Welcome back to Melodic Memories of Light's Monarch. I'm Casey, and today I wanted to talk about My Chemical Romance. Now, I've talked about them before, and obviously they really need no introduction at all. They are a band that knows no limits, knows no bounds, one that kind of spans generations upon generations. And the reason why I want to talk about them today is because last episode that I released on Monday they ended up announcing something right after I finished recording, editing it all together. After I was done that, they posted on their Instagram with a teaser, a picture of what looked like to be symbols, kind of reminiscent of MCR, but in different kind of weird phonetics. And the background was a bunch of roofs for some buildings, which looked like they were ripped straight out of the Black Parade, and confetti falling down, with the caption, "If you could be anything, what would you be?" Now, instantly, that got me extremely excited. I adore MCR, all of their music. Like, I don't really have one that I could choose over the other, but the Black Parade has always been my favorite. Now, seeing this, it's like the first time they've been really active and cryptic in such a long time, and so much to the point where it had to be something important because the band members themselves ended up sharing the post on their socials and adding it to their story and making different posts and whatnot, just kind of teasing something's coming. And obviously, I overthink things. I like to speculate. It's fun, but sometimes it's not. In this case, it was because I was speculating, like, what could it be? Obviously, I was getting a little overhyped, trying to keep it, like, realistic, but honestly, I thought maybe we might be getting Paper Kingdoms or a new album. But to touch on what Paper Kingdoms is and why I say it directly for those that don't know, the next MCR album after Danger Days was supposed to be called Paper Kingdoms, and it was a concept record that kind of followed the character and loss. Like, it followed along the story of loss and how the guilt of it can settle in. It was supposed to be very dark and very emotional, more than even the Black Parade, as that was a rock opera, and Danger Days was not really anything what we would have expected from MCR, at the time at least. And I think that it would have been amazing to hear it, and some songs have been leaked. I have not heard the leaks because I don't like to support those, but a little call out to MCR: if they've been leaked, just release them, please. For the fans that don't want to support the leakers, because I would love to hear what those songs are, but I'm too afraid to actually go and take that dive just because it feels disrespectful to their art. Like, they didn't want us to hear it for some reason, then what's the point? Unless if they leak them themselves, then I'm just rambling on like an idiot. And in that case, I might have to go look a little more into it. But I thought maybe it would be Paper Kingdoms just for the simple fact that the confetti that was falling through the sky. Obviously, confetti is paper, and it was falling down onto these buildings, and it was a whole new logo. So, kind of thought maybe it would be the Paper Kingdoms album or something entirely new. Especially with that caption asking if you could be anything, what would you be? Like, how cryptic can one get? But MCR has always been one to be cryptic. And the day after they posted that, we got hit with another post, but this time a video. And the video that they posted essentially was this leader of some sort walking down a hallway to the outside window to their balcony, and there was a sea of people, and you could tell that it was from the Black Parade era. Like, this is something connected to it. And he even says they need to reassemble, maybe not, I'm paraphrasing here, but they need to reassemble the Black Parade. And then on the screen flashes, "Long live the Black Parade, 2025 North American Tour." So, in saying all of this, MCR is back, and they are back with a Black Parade headlining tour. 10 different dates in a couple cities across US and one in Canada, being Toronto. And, of course, it's Toronto. That's what Canada is, right? But, in any sense, they're going to be doing exactly what they did at the When We Were Young festival, with playing the Black Parade in full, start to fucking finish. And that itself is legendary. It does deserve to be toured. Like, the fact that they were only doing it for the When We Were Young Fest was amazing, and I was kicking myself really hard for missing it. But if they're doing a tour for it, holy shit. Like, I hope it goes further than just these 10 dates. I would love to go see it, and I will touch on that a little more here in a second, but it's exciting. It's extremely exciting. And that video had a caption underneath, if you looked on their socials, that read, "It has been 17 years since the Black Parade was sent to the moat. In that time, a great dictator has risen to power, bringing about the concrete age, a glorious time of stability and abundance in the history of drag. His grand immortal dictator wishes to celebrate our rich and storied culture, fine foods, and musical entertainments by welcoming you to these great demonstrations of power and resolve, and lending voice and song for the first time in 6,246 days, their work privilege ceremoniously reinstated, will be his grand immortal dictator's national band, the Black Parade. Long live drag." And that itself is what was posted, and wow. Like, that, it has lore to it. And I think that's something that makes me really excited, because that's the Black Parade. It was a rock opera and a concept album to that extent. And to see that they're actually going forward and through with more lore makes me so happy as a fan, and so excited to see that, who knows? Like, I don't want to speculate too much. All we know for sure is we're getting a tour with Long Live the Black Parade. That start to finish in full with a bunch of different openers. That is awesome. But it raises the question, are we going to get anything else? And I know that sounds greedy. They're giving us something awesome. And I also know that MCR is a legacy band. They realistically don't need to ever release a new piece of music. And I think people would be okay with that. Maybe not ideal, obviously, for the fans out there like myself. But I could definitely see, like, their story has been told. If the band members want to tell a new story or have something else to say, they themselves individually have a lot of different outlets to say said thing. They don't really need to focus it and say it through My Chemical Romance. Like Gerard Way, he's a comic book guy. He can do something through that or his own solo work. And then along with the other band, a lot of them have their own bands. Even, I believe, Frankie and Mikey have a band together. I could be wrong in saying that, but I know that something like that happened. And realistically, MCR themselves don't need to release anything else, but it would be really cool to get some sort of single just for this tour. Even if it is reminiscent of the Black Parade, a love letter to the Black Parade this long later, especially with the year after this tour, the album's going to be 20 years old. And yes, that might make you feel real fucking old, because it should. 2006 is when the Black Parade came out. And to think that 19 years after, the same amount of time it took Mike Tyson to get back in the ring just this last Friday, the same amount of time for MCR to go on the road with the Black Parade tour. And I know they already did Black Parade from start to finish at When We Were Young, and obviously the videos, if you were looking through TikTok at the time, wow. The videos of them performing that was insane. Disenchanted especially. That is one if I could see that, I would be so happy. Like, I would probably be deceased. Send me back home on the plane in a casket. I would be done. Deceased, done, good to go. Like, that song just is something special. The whole album is. But that one song, I know that they refrained from playing for a long time. And to think that they're finally starting to play it again because they have to, it just, I don't know, it's touching to me because of how much it means, not only to me, but the whole fan base. One of those really special kind of deep cuts. But just to go on from that, it's a lot of hype. I feel a lot of hype. And I know that the album itself, it has a lot of layers. It follows this patient going through death, essentially. Like, he dies at the beginning. That's why it's called The End. And it's like it's like a flashback through what his life was and how to kind of just deal with that loss. It's a very sad, solemn story, but it's a hell of a fucking album. And it really deserves all of the love and attraction it gets. It is one of, and I will say this with full sincerity, even if I am biased, I would say it is one of the top albums of all time. And especially for the impact it had way back in 2006, and still to this day, proven by the fact that they can sell out shows just with the promise that they're going to be playing that in full. It's insane. And they also gave the big middle finger to Warped Tour because they announced another show in LA, I believe it was. I think the same day that Warped Tour is planned to be there. So I hope that whatever they're doing is amazing. I really hope that it does incredibly well and leads to more, if not more, music itself, because that's what everyone wants, even though touring is really cool. I really hope I can go see it. To touch on the kind of tour dates that were announced, the ones that I was keeping an eye on was Toronto, and my friend Crystal, shout out to her, in Chicago. Since she's from there, she was able to actually get a ticket, and not just one, but two. So with the promise of if I can manage funds and get shit together, I will be able to go experience this. And of course, if I get to go experience this, you all will hear about it and see shit on it on my socials, because I'm going to go crazy if I get to go see this. Because to just say real quick, it's in August that the Chicago date is. And that would be the Black Parade in full from MCR. Followed by 2 months later, I would be seeing Panic at the Disco playing A Fever You Can't Sweat Out in full. Like, that that itself, mixed with this year, just in December 6th, I'm going to be seeing Taylor Swift in Vancouver. Wow. And, not to mention, there was another artist that just released tour dates that I would love to go see, and I'm actually going to touch on here quick. If I got to see all of this, like for sure all of this, especially the ones that are happening next year in that same short time frame, I am going to die of pure enjoyment, excitement, and ecstasy, because that is legendary. But enough of me going off on that. To go into the next thing that I wanted to talk about, aside from MCR, is Linkin Park. Again, they're back! Of course, they're back. And it's so exciting. Their album actually just dropped Friday, November 15th. And from zero, it was an amazing time. But before I really dive into the album, I do want to talk about their tour announcement, which is the other tour that's going to be going on in August. It goes on longer than just August, but the dates that I was looking at that I could go see would be in August. The tour itself, tickets go on sale on Monday, November 18th, and who knows how much they will be. I kind of looked into it just to try to get an idea because I want to score tickets for myself. But shout out to Rosie. She's going to try to get me tickets along with her friend and go together in Montreal, because they have a Montreal date alongside Toronto and Vancouver, which are their 3 Canadian stops. Not much, but better than what I was expecting. I was really just expecting a Toronto date like most other artists do, but the fact that they just even had the idea to want to come to other places in Canada, it's still not enough, but all the same, I can say respect to some extent, but Canada is still more than just those 3 places. In any sense, though, fingers crossed that I'm able to go. Fingers crossed even more so that Rosie's able to get tickets for us. But the reason I say that is because when I was looking into it, there's something called Linkin Park Underground. Now, it's a membership that you kind of need to have if you want one of the pre-sale codes for Monday the 18th. I don't know when general on sale's going on. I will find out more as Monday follows through. You'll be hearing this on the Monday, so go check it out if you're interested at least. But the Linkin Park Underground is a membership that you have to pay for. There is a free version of it, but the free version doesn't get you the pre-sale codes from what I found out. Now, you have to pay $25 per year if you want the pre-sale code. There is a premium version of this membership that is $75 a year. Gets you like a little gift, I believe, every year. It sounds cool, but not something that is viable, not something that I would want to spend my money on. I love Linkin Park, and that's not saying much here because they're a really great band. But I don't want to have to pay $25 when I am Canadian. That's more than what it should be. And have to pay to be able to get a chance to get codes. It's one thing to do the verified fan presale that Ticketmaster does, where you just have a chance, like with Taylor Swift, you got a chance to get a code and then use that code to get a chance at buying tickets. That is okay because it doesn't cost anything. But with this, it really kind of rubbed me the wrong way that you have to pay to be able to get a presale code. I don't know if it's always been like this. I'm new to even wanting to see Linkin Park when they were touring back when Chester was still alive, rest in peace. I wasn't really into them as much as I am now. As their last album, One More Light, when I was going through a really hard time, it's the album that spoke the most to me. And before that was Minutes to Midnight. That was the album that I knew of theirs and loved. And then it evolved into One More Light, and I just attached to it because it was exactly how I felt, which is very depressing to say, but it helped me through that, and I will forever love that album. All the haters that hated that and their new record can go listen to another band. Get out of here, we don't want you. Um, just joking, of course. Music is subjective, but all the same, if you don't like it, just don't listen to it. There's no reason to hate on it. You can say it's just not for me. Hate, there's no reason for it. But the dates that are going to be on the tour, they are touring almost everywhere, in the United States at the very least. And I'm very curious and intrigued to see how it's going to go. It would be wicked to see Linkin Park, MCR, and Panic at the Disco all in the same year. And I say Panic at the Disco, really it's When We Were Young Fest in 2025. But Panic's the one I'm most excited for. There's tons of bands there, though, so if anyone's interested, sign up for that wait list, get day 2 added, come on. Not for me, but for everyone else, I'm sure a lot of people would love to see that happen. But for Linkin Park specifically, their From Zero tour goes on sale Monday the 18th. Good luck to everyone that wants to get tickets, and if you end up getting a ticket, let me know at Lights Monarch. My socials will be in the description on the link tree, and it is just at Lights Monarch. Go find me. Though to go into From Zero itself, the album that did just drop, which was their first album in 7 years. Like, holy shit. I know that they've been active to some extent, like they've had their 20th anniversary rendition of Hybrid Theory, or re-release of Hybrid Theory, Meteora, 20th anniversary edition, which gave us track called Lost, which is holy fuck amazing. Also, they released Paper Cuts, which was just like a singles compilation, almost a greatest hits kind of thing. But this is their first actual new album in 7 years. Now that itself is huge. Do they still have it? That's the question that everyone kind of asked. And especially with the change in singer, the change in maybe direction, no one even really knew. It's something that was completely up in the air until they came back with a single, so it gave us an idea, and have released a couple singles since. Like, their first single was The Emptiness Machine, which honestly was probably the best way to start off this whole era. It really made a statement. It's something that's catchy. It is one of the best songs on the album, I would have to say. And for what they were trying to say in the song, it really hit and left an impact. And then their second single was Heavy as the Crown, which they ended up using for League of Legends, the Worlds this year, which is insane. I know that League of Legends is something that is divisive, to say the least, the game itself at least. A lot of people think it's incredibly toxic and not the best kind of community, but I will say the music that they release, the music that they use, 9 times out of 10, bangers. Complete bangers. And then the videos that they release for said music are all animated and amazingly well done, especially Heavy is the Crown. I was very impressed seeing that when it dropped. Which, not to mention, the song itself is a banger of its own. And then on to Over Each Other, which is the next song on the album in track list. And that one's more of kind of a dialed back, not as heavy, not as in your face, but very vulnerable. It's the first time anyone really got a sense of Emily Armstrong and what she can perform, how she can perform, in more than just the screamy sense. Like, she really showed a vulnerability in herself through her singing, and the song itself reflects that. And it's a very emotional, sad one, Over Each Other. Obviously, you can read that title and think of, oh yeah, I can probably guess what it's about, which doesn't take away from the song either. And then the next one that they released, which was literally the day before the album dropped, that song was Two-Faced. And that song, that song itself, holy fuck. That song released, I believe, a day or two before the album dropped, and holy fuck. That one they dropped a music video for too, but the way that it opens, it's almost like a new rendition of One Step Closer, or something of the sorts. I can't really remember which song, but it was like a complete love letter of that, just redone almost, but not in the cash grabby way. It was done with complete respect and love for their past work. A complete admiration of what they used to sound like and what that era kind of gave, which is honestly kind of what the album gave me. It seemed that every single song on the album, from track 1 being From Zero, the intro, into The Emptiness Machine, Cut the Bridge, Heavy is the Crown, Over Each Other, Casualty, Overflow, Two-Faced, Stained, IGYEIH, which stands for I Gave You Everything I Had, into Good Things Go. All of the songs, it feels like they kind of, whether it was intentional or not, it's like as if they spread out their whole album discography, all the music they've made, and kind of put everything into categories, and we're like, all right, let's take from this one for this song, and then take from this one for this song, and inspiration from this one for this song. And it was all done not in a pandering way, which is the best thing that I can say, because they definitely walked the line perfectly. It could have been overdone and just something that would have been a shell of their former selves, but instead they ended up releasing an album that honestly felt like a love letter to their past and to their fans, while also being a look into their future and what's to come for the band. Because if I had to tell you, honestly, I think that their future is incredibly bright, and I don't think that they're going to slow down anytime soon. Especially crazy to say for a band that's been around this long. And they've still got it. They literally proved that they still got it. And I will say, to just kind of finish this off, or with my thoughts at least, is that the album was really good. I really enjoyed it. I thought it wasn't their best work that they've ever released by any means, but in saying so, it's still one of their great albums. And again, they just haven't lost it. And if I had to give it a rating out of 10, I would have to say it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. And something that I do see myself going back to more than once. I bought the vinyl itself, actually, just the day it released, because gotta support, and for the collection, of course. But in saying so, I do believe it's worth buying on vinyl, worth going out, pick up the CD, buy it on iTunes. They have a digital deluxe version on their web store, I believe until the 22nd. That comes with 3 extra live tracks. So if anyone's interested, go get it, go check it out, go support. Because they deserve it, honestly. I believe that they killed it, and there's nothing really else to say other than what my friend and roommate, Logan, shout out to you, buddy, what he had to say about the record itself. And I'm going to read out these. My opinions don't fully go with what he says, but gives you an idea, a little bit of a breakdown. And he goes on to say that he gave the album 2 listens to really think about it. Starts with The Emptiness Machine, saying it was definitely the best song to put out to draw in the hype. It's such a good song all around and has a great impact and does stick in your brain. Great album start, 10 out of 10, and I can agree, 100%. Next on to Cut the Bridge is good but not great. Not a great backing track for Mike to rap over, or maybe it was the old voice like we mentioned, 5 out of 10. That I can kind of agree to. When the album first, like the first listen of it, I was kind of caught off guard, but as I had more listens to it, it definitely has grown on me. But I will say, the whole album kind of has this vibe, like Mike Shinoda. He raps, and he's never been that great of a rapper. I will say that right now. He used to be better, though. You can tell in this new album that he is very much older. And that's why he said, like, the old voice, as we mentioned, because that was my first thing, especially when I heard their single Two-Faced. It's like, he sounds like an old man. In the nicest way, too, because it's not bad. You can just tell. But Cut the Bridge is one that has grown on me, so don't fully agree, but all the same, valid. Next, Heavy is the Crown, which is great, but I don't think I need to say much more as to why. Lots of things involved around the song that brought it to greater heights, but it stands tall on its own regardless. 10 out of 10, enough said. 100% can agree. Next, Over Each Other is a good track, but I remember the video being very generic and tropey, which, yeah, I mean, it still had something to say, the music video itself, but it was kind of, I don't want to say generic, because they did take their own spin on it, but it was the couple fighting, and then they realize it's too late because the other one's dead kind of vibe. Sorry for spoilers, but it is just a music video. There's no lore or anything, it was just what it was. And I can agree to that, but as a song, it kind of blends in with the rest of the album and doesn't really innovate. However, it plays well to Emily's strengths as an emotional song, and that's what I actually said just earlier, that it really has an emotional presence that is amplified in that song specifically and a couple other songs on the record, which actually flows into the next song, which is actually both of ours least favorite of the album. And not for any reason, like, it's not bad, but it is just kind of feeling like it's screamy for the sake of being screamy. And I wasn't really vibing with that itself. And he goes on to say Casualty is interesting. The biggest hatred and rage song on the album, another one that I'm not exactly attached to. It has its moments, but for me, that's okay. I don't see them playing this one often in concerts because that has to be so grating on her vocal cords, but who knows, it would be best in the live setting. Gave it a 6 out of 10. And I can agree with that. I added some of my own comments in there, so not exactly what he said, but all the same, very close, and I can agree. Next was Overflow. It very much feels like they're reaching for a new sound, and I can agree. When that song started, it felt like something different. It wasn't Linkin Park. Obviously it is, and if that's the direction that they might be going, I'm excited. When I heard the song, I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed it, and it was a different take, a different feel, and a different vibe, which just got me excited. And he goes on to say, I don't mind it, but it feels like something you can listen to in the background. I can definitely tell I'm not much of a Mike Shinoda fan by this point, and his voice feels so out of place in songs like this sometimes. And no hate to Logan, 100%. I can agree to some extent at least. I do like Mike Shinoda, but he does have a very methodical way of rapping, which is, I don't know, some people just attribute it to him being white. I don't want to be racist and say whatever to say, but I can understand where he's coming from. And he goes on to say, with Two-Faced, it immediately sounds like the opening to Crawl, but the breakdown really catches your attention. The whole song has a great concert vibe, probably one of the better songs Mike has found his flow on. 10 out of 10. Can agree, definitely can agree, and it is one that is just a love letter to their past music. It sounds like something they would have released back in the day, and I'm okay with that. This album is a comeback to form, and again, to see what's to come. It deserves a place on this record. And then it goes into Stained. Dang, he goes on to say. Emily sounds like Miley Cyrus. I can't say that for sure, but that's what he thought, and he says it's not a bad thing. but he's hearing the comparison very clearly. It's good, but the song gives me radio music vibes. Mike sounds kind of offbeat towards the end of the song, 7 out of 10. I personally really liked Stained. It does sound somewhat like a radio song, one that you would have heard kind of akin to Heavy, if you think back to One More Light. And in the best way. It is a very emotional song talking about how you just can't get me off of you. Like, you've done me wrong. Good luck trying to go on forward because I'm not that easy to fully get rid of. I will leave a piece of me with you to like she says, stain you. Your hands are stained. And I think it was a really good song, really emotional, and it does go into I Gave You Everything I Had, which I thought was such an emotional release. Absolutely cathartic and a release of nothing but pure emotion. And Logan goes to say he wasn't huge on it with the first listen, but it's grown on him. It catches your attention right away, but I wasn't expecting the energy to drop off after the opening. The vibe comes back together in the chorus, and that fade into Good Things Go is great, because it does. It has a fade at the very end of the song, which goes into Good Things Go, and this song, I will have to say, would have to get the award for Best Song on the album. Only because it is an emotional turnaround, like you weren't expecting it, and it just obliterates you right through your chest. Like they just fucking shoved their fist through your chest, grabbed your heart, ripped it out, and squeezed it. Like, it is such an emotional song, especially for someone that struggles from mental health issues, and it's one that hit me really hard, and Logan as well, because he goes on to say it hits you right in the heart. Damn. It gives chills and feels, it sticks with you, and it's a very somber ending to the album. It feels like it flows the whole time, which gives time for the emotions really to sink in. 10 out of 10. And again, I can agree. That song deserves the top spot on the album, at least to me, and to my buddy Logan. Shout out to him. Thank you again for your thoughts. I am happy to share them on here, and I can agree to some of them I can't. I really like the album, and I'm glad that you liked it as well, Logan, and I hope everyone else out there that listened to it liked it just as much. Crystal, Rosie, I know you two listened to it. Hope you enjoyed it, because it is Linkin Park back and in full force, in good form. Can't wait to see them if I get the chance to see their tour in Montreal. Fingers crossed. Lastly, though, I wanted to touch on the Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fight. Now, this itself, what a time to be alive, okay? Like, complete respect to Mike Tyson. That man is a legend. Mikey boy himself, Mike Tyson, he is a legend. I love him, full respect to him. And Jake Paul, as much as I thought he was an idiot, and he might still be, not saying he's not, I can give him respect. He showed full respect at the end of that match. It didn't turn out like the internet wanted, like the world wanted. Mike Tyson unfortunately lost to Jake Paul, which was the expected outcome, at least for myself, but it was not the outcome I was hoping for. And all the same, it was completely respectful, and Mike Tyson stood his own, and I will say, for him being a 58-year-old man, fighting a 27-year-old in his prime, fucking props, man. Props to the maximum extent. Mike Tyson, you go down in history as an absolute legend. And congratulations on making it through the fight without even fucking falling, without getting taken down. That goes to say something itself. Even if he didn't win, I think in our hearts, the winner truly was Mike. And yeah, lastly, I just wanted to kind of talk about Arcane Season 2, Part 2, or Arc 2, if you will, of Season 2 just released. And I believe it features the Ash Nico song, Paint the Town Blue. Fuck yeah. Shout out to her. If you haven't listened to it, go check it out. But the album does come out next Saturday, I believe, the 28th. If not the Friday before the Saturday. But comes out then, and we're finally going to be able to hear The Line from 21 Pilots, which is a song that I guess the team of Arcane reached out to Tyler Joseph and wanted him to make a song because they just felt it would fit him the most and 21 Pilots' vibe, because some of the creators are fans. just like me. And the fact that they said yes and got it done so quickly and it just felt perfect without needing to change a single thing makes me hyped. It's not going to be lore wise, that was kind of confirmed. It's not going to be so much lore towards Clancy, at least we don't think so. It's going to be more so lore based towards Arcane and fit perfectly in that world. And that makes me so excited. I think that is perfect. And the fact that he made it, Tyler Joseph and Josh Dunn, they made it with Arcane in mind for the show, not for any other reason. It's going to be something to be heard. And I cannot wait to talk about it when it drops. Be it pure excitement or pure disappointment, regardless, I am here for it and you will hear my thoughts. In saying that, though, I've been Lights Monarch. If you want any makeup, go check out Crisp Cosmetics. Use the code LightsMonarch at checkout for 10% off. Share what you get with me. Share your thoughts on Linkin Park's new LP. And tell me what you think about MCR coming back with the Black Parade. Hit me up on socials at LightsMonarch to let me know your thoughts. And in saying all of this, thank you so much for discovering the music within.